bad. We're
I think a lot of people are getting hit hard with the Saturn and Aries. Like, people are kind of crashing out with that, because I think that, like, my theory was always that everything in Pisces, Neptune, Saturn, all of it, it's really easy, you know, because we always talk about with Pisces, like, you don't know where the energy's coming from, and it can be very soupy, and you're just like, you're so unclear of, like, what is happening most of the time. So it's really easy for people to project. It's really easy for people to bypass. It's really easy for people to blame others and people outside themselves in the Pisces energy, but the Aries isn't that way. So I've noticed that, like, as soon as Saturn entered Aries, I, like, watched, like, people started crashing out, because now it's like you're having to deal with yourself. And for many people, that's a rude awakening.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was reading just an article from that Leo King guy yesterday he posted, which was just, like, a lot of, like, his story, like, how he got to where he is now, because I think he's, like, really popular on, like, YouTube, and kind of almost has, like, a cult following, and and he was just sharing, like, his journey of, like, Neptune and Pisces type thing, and he was just saying, like, he's, you know, gone through a lot of, like, mental illness type things, where he's like, I had, like, really bad panic disorders, and it just really took to the point where he was like, you know, I became this kind of online persona of, like, the Leo King, but, like, outside of that, like, I was deeply unwell, I wasn't okay, but I was helping people, but, like, internally my life was a mess, but, like, I had to keep pushing, basically, like, I had to keep going, and, like, what I went through, what he sees as, like, you know, his internal darkness, like, made him what he is now, kind of thing, and he was like, with Neptune and Aries, he's like, we've kind of had this period when Neptune was in Pisces, and now it's in Aries, so he's like, during that period, it was like, you know, what you were saying, a lot of bypassing, a lot of fog, a lot of, like, spiritual dissociation in a lot of ways, like, people not really being well, and now he's like, now that we have this Aries energy, similar to what she just said of, like, you got to take responsibility, you got to figure it out, you have to go through these things and, like, really step up, kind of thing. So it was like really aligning with what you just said, and literally posted it yesterday, and I was like, it's just really interesting where he's like, now is really the time. Neptune and Pisces really wasn't the time. We had to go through a lot of clearing, face our own darkness, not let it take us out, kind of thing. Now it's like, we have to get that momentum, and I feel like, you know, if people haven't done the work, they're going to be overwhelmed with
for sure.
that, you know?
And I just think June will be interesting. Obviously, May, we had Saturn at the 29th degree the entire month. And then it was like April was a lot of retrogrades. March, we had Neptune at the critical degree for the entire month. It was just like never ending. And then, you know, having Uranus at the 29 degrees in Taurus all month.
Oh yeah, here we go.
This month.
Yep, it's like one after the other kind of thing.
And it was interesting because I love, like, looking back at my, like, journal entries from, like, a year prior. And, like, a year ago is when we started the light body stuff. So it was, like, mirroring a lot of, like, what I've been feeling now, and then how we kept saying, like, the 7-7 feels so significant. Like, it's event energy, like, I don't know what the fuck it is, but, well, obviously Uranus and Gemini is huge. And I kept getting, like, that would be some type of switchover of grids. Something is going to happen. Maybe not on the day. Like, I never hype up the physical day itself, but it was funny because then when I was, like, looking back in my journal, I had journaled something on July 6th, and it was about the new grids. And then I went to go to the next page, and I had left an entire page blank.
So ominous.
Isn't that really weird? And it tripped me out. I don't do that. I'm very, like, you know, I never, like, skip a page.
Yeah, no, she's not like that.
So I was like, oh.
That's a little strange.
Oh
my god.
What does it all mean?
I mean, I definitely feel like we've talked about that being significant, and obviously, like, we mentioned it with Cobra's stuff, that there would be a potential, like, event window, but he finally just posted after, like, a while of not posting, and I'd been, like, waiting for an update. I'm like, I really need an update, like, yesterday. And he finally posted on the 25th, and I read through all of his workshop notes that were posted, so nobody else had to. So I'll give you, like, the most important parts of what was shared. So basically, he went to a few different places. So he went to New York City. He went back to Kyoto, Japan.
Okay.
He went to Colombia. And one more place, which I forget which it was.
Okay.
And so this was all before the WESAC convention. So he was talking about it as it was coming up. So like people couldn't post the notes till he said when, because whatever. So this was like, he's probably going in like March or April.
Yeah.
So one of the things that he was talking about was the WESAC and how important it was going to be for the convention. He was like, it's so important this year, and he did share a little bit about the update where the Galactics did agree that they were going to get rid of the Last of the Darkness.
Yeah.
And that was kind of their big decision of like basically just pulling the trigger. And he's like, this year it's going to be big, like the Galactic Federation was going to be there because they knew like this was really important kind of thing. So he was like, they're going to discuss that. They're working on clearing the darkness. He said the lurker at the time a couple months ago was like 18 to 20% left.
Yeah.
Because people were asking him about that. Every single conference, someone asked him about the event, and he's like, I can't, like, I don't know. I wish I knew. He jokingly says it's going to be a Friday, or it's going to be Friday, whatever, and people just laugh at him. But people were like, is it going to be before 7/7 or whatever? And he was like, I never said that it would be before a specific date. As of right now, because of a lot of factors, it could be this year, it could be next year is basically what he's giving. So it's gone delayed. And in one conference, someone asked him why it's getting delayed. And he said that human stupidity is a large factor as to why this is getting delayed. And the girl that was taking the notes is like, people laughed at this. I don't know why people laugh. It's not funny. But it's true, you know? And he also talked about the dragon ley lines. He said that was really successful with the eclipses and all of that. He said those were pretty heavily activated. He said the earthquake in Myanmar was to counteract the work of the ley lines that people were doing, and it was activating during the eclipses. He said that the last point where the dark could do something like significant to really delay this would be of when Saturn's rings were really close in March.
Yes, that was in March.
Similar to when they took over in 1996 and made it super dark. And he was like, that was the last window and they missed it. So nothing really big can happen. Some good things were that he's like, any agendas like the World Economic Forum, Great Reset, another pandemic, all those things, they can't happen anymore. They missed windows. That can't exist.
Totally.
He said
I knew that because I was like, if they were going to do another pandemic, it would have to be when you had those planets in Pisces.
You're right. So they missed it. So they missed that window. He said that. He's like, all those timelines collapsed. They can't do any of that. He said the only thing that they could do is
cyber attack.
Not cyber attack, World War III.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
And he's like, most people don't want war. Most people are over it. So it would be like trying to get something stirred up with Israel and Iran. And he's like, most likely that won't happen. So that was kind of good that he shared that. I mean, the other thing is like he called out light workers. He was like, a lot of people failed. A lot of people are like in the dark. People think they're ready for these things. They're not. Like a lot of light workers really like aren't where they think they are kind of thing. Like a lot's been delayed, but he's like the Galactics, Mom, like whatever are going to move forward. Source, he calls it Source. Talked a lot about like the Emerald Ray, which I know is Mom of like, he was doing like initiations to like get people connected to Source with the Emerald Ray. So like every workshop, he was doing like a meditation to get people connected, which I feel is Mom, which was good. Yeah. And what was the other thing? He talked about the Ascension Portal. So this is new. And he said he couldn't talk about a lot of it yet. So he said at some point this year, he can't say when, an Ascension Portal is going to open.